Song, isn't it? Fields of Gold. One of my favourite songs out by Sting. Anyway, I digress, as I always do. Having a station, and I cheekily did say when the gentleman walked through the bar and he said, "Hello, Nick," and I said, "Farmer wants a wife." And
very cheeky, very cheeky.
Very cheeky. Owen Farmer, and who's I've seen him in a newspaper, and also he's on Facebook quite a bit. I know you did those suits.
Yes, that's correct, Nick. And good morning to you too. And
thank you.
Good morning to your listeners. And it's really good to be back here at IPL Radio. Thank you, Nick.
Well, you've been around about the traps of IPL for almost since it started. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's
Owen?
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was one of the first up front with us all there, and it was a great privilege to be accepted in. And Paul had written me a letter, and I still got that letter at home.
Is that right?
Yep. To bring me in to be one of the directors in.
Wow.
In there. So it was quite a privilege, and every time we come back I try to work out what we can do to help.
Yeah, well, you've been a great supporter of the station, but I won't say more importantly, because that's not quite true, but just as importantly, I know from you, I know your story, a little bit of your story, you do a heck of a lot of work out there for people other than yourself.
Yes, we do. I do what I can, and it's all voluntarily, and I love it because I come from a rough side of town when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
And as I've got older now, I just like to give back into to the community around that is suffering, and a lot of it is suffering with invisible illnesses that you can't see from the outside. And they're all carrying a heavy load. And if I can give them a good, faithful word or a cuddle, it makes the day run better. And
I would dare say, I'm only surmising here, that a little bit of a hug or a little bit of a smile, a little bit of good day, to you, I'm not saying you do it naturally, but to these people who are on the receiving end, it can make their day.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of hurt out there, and struggling, and places where they can't put their head on a pillow at night time, and they haven't got that warm cup of soup in their tummy before they go to bed. There's a lot of people out there that are eating baked beans and they haven't got a toilet at night to go to. So there's a lot of hurt out in my community at the moment.
Is it decreasing or increasing, Owen?
Oh, it's increasing tenfold. I'd say on an average day, I'd say there'd be 5 people that become stressed without a home.
What, every day?
About every day, yep. So that's about 30 people a week that fallen down on their luck with housing and rentals and all that type of jazz, and it's really, really, it's a shame. I know you can't bring politics into any radio station, but God help us. God help us.
And I am apolitical, as people may know. And one of my mates who's a rusted-on Labor supporter, who really rusted on, that's fine, I'm rusted on Labor, blah, blah. He said, "What do you think of the budget?" And I just said to him, "Look, if I boil it down to really basic stuff, I know, and I'll just ask your opinion. If you have a couple and they are both working full-time in their jobs, it is not right that they cannot have a roof above their head." Now, I know there's people who don't want to work and they make their own choices, fine. Not fine, but that is their choice. But if you are genuinely earning money, good money, you can't afford an $800,000 or $700,000 mortgage. You can't afford it.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. And you can't afford the $750 a week.
That's the other thing.
And now this budget's been passed out, so that gives landlords the right to bump it up again. So people are going to be paying $800. So if there's 2 people working and their children going to school, so one wage is virtually going on rent.
Yeah.
rent, electricity and gas, and putting children through their first years of school. The other wage is to run 2 cars,
That's right.
you know,
Yes.
and licenses, insurances, and Medicare, and all that stuff. It's you know, they're living on the bricks of the mortar rusting around them.
They
You
are.
know, and who would ever thought that Australia's where we are to be where we are?
It's funny, and again, when you're not, and I say I'm not politically whatever, but, you know, in Australia we have plenty of gas, we have plenty of oil, we have plenty of food, we have plenty of electricity. I could go on and on. And you would think, with all those things of being a self-sufficient country, and we can sell oil and we can sell gas, we've got plenty of it. And I think, why are we, no matter $1 trillion in debt, and we've got all these resources? I don't understand.
We have all these resources, but other countries buy our resources.
Yes.
And then we buy it back off of
That's
them.
the weirdest.
That's the stupidest thing of all. You know, the manufacturing, you know, we used to have all that here in Australia.
We did.
We did. We had it all, mate. And now we're battling to buy a thimble that's made in Australia, you know, and things like that. So God help us in the next decade with our children, our grandchildren, are going to suffer, because this time, in 2 years' time, we're going to have $1 trillion debt. The way that the government's spending this money, they say when a government runs out of their money, which is ours anyway, they come after yours.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
You know?
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Unless the people change their minds about doing things and who they're putting in power, then we're in with a bit of a chance. But if, like, they're rusted on...
That's it. And the thing is, I mean, if we look at this, I won't say from a layman's point of view. So if, no matter which government, if they say, well, if you vote for us, we'll give you more money, and you might say, but we haven't got any money to give. No, but we will give you money. And you go, we really? And I go, well, yeah, we do. Oh, well, I'll vote for you. And I think, have you thought where that money's coming from? And is that not that thought process? It's, oh, I've got some more money, I don't care.
Yep, it's like the carrot.
It is.
It's like dangling the carrot out in front, and people go, oh, yeah, I'll
That's
take
it.
$250.
That's it.
You know, but that's borrowed money.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and then people got to pay it back. You know, we can see that Nick, we can see where it's all gone wrong, but it's irreversible at the moment.
Ah, you see, that's a very good point.
You know, it's very irreversible. We can't fix it overnight, and it's going to be decades and decades and decades.
It is. That's it.
You know, and when you have people lying to your face, and then change the whole concept around, saying we're doing this for the better, why didn't you say that in the first place? You know, so people are led. Like, you can lead a horse to water. The only way you can make him really drink is by hitting him on the backside. You know, so.
And it's just a, it's a human, unfortunately, it's a human trait that, I say to people, it's really like if you go out and you get a MasterCard and you've racked up $2,000 and they say, what about paying it? And you go, well, I haven't got any money. Then you think, oh, shit, I've got to buy some stuff. Oh, no, I'll get another bank card or another one. So that's what happens. And I think that's happened with governments. Oh, we've run out of money. Oh, well, just grab some from somewhere else. Yeah, but you've got to pay it back. It's like if you have 4 bank cards, Owen, it's going to come a point where they're going to go, bang, no more. Give us our money.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind if the money stayed here in Australia, but it's gone out of Australia.
Yep.
You know, it's beyond me.
It is me.
But my whole thing is today is to come in and, talk about I can't solve homelessness. Homelessness will be there for decades to come.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we're going to become a third world. The new world order is taking over, is changing all these politicians' heads. and the New World Order is kicking in, and you do it this way. You look at the UK, for instance, that's totally gone to the wall, and Australia's going the same way.
Yeah.
Australia's going the same way with different people. You know, so with the homelessness is never going to be solved because we won't have enough. If we bring in 1.4 million more people from another country, where are you going to put those 1.4?
That's the other thing that makes me laugh.
You know, but then we're going to bring in all these tradies. Okay, so where are they going to live?
Where they're going to live? That's exactly my point.
You know, so what's happening? So what they do, they bump up the prices of rent, so it makes it not viable for a person to live in the house. And what happens? The government gives them money to come in and take the house, boom, boom, full-time job, Medicare, dentists, doctors, blah, blah, blah. Corresponds, it brings it all together and it overloads the system, overloads the schools. No more, where's all the teachers, you know? And then with the sheep and with the cattle and all that type of jazz, it's just going to really overload a hell of a lot of stuff. But with the homeless sector, my heart, my passion is really, really in there, Nick, with that. And the only thing I can do now is just be a voice for them and do the right thing.
How, you know, as I say, I admire people who work with homeless people because, and it's not so much I'm not proud of this, but, you know, emotionally it would I think it would wreck me. How do you handle that?
Well, I burn out. There's no doubt about that. I burn out. And I did a few years ago when I said I was going to retire again and again and again, and I had burned out and I had to go to see a psychiatrist and all that type of jazz. And we lost a few brothers on the streets and stuff like that. And through COVID, there was no funerals. I couldn't go to any of their funerals because there was only a certain amount of people through COVID area, so I couldn't see my brothers off. But, you know, I went out of that and I come back out and I'm doing the best I can, but I learnt a lot. I've learnt a real lot that I can not take everything on, take on what I need and leave the rest, you know, so I've learnt that in the wisdom as of getting a little bit older, you know.
Yeah.
Getting out, but just recently with my homeless veteran statue that's up at the RSL here in Memorial Drive, where everybody's up there sleeping and what have you. I went up there the other day on Wednesday because I go up there to clean my statue up and all that and make it all presentable for everybody to come and have a look. And so I decided, I'll see if there's any return service people along the strip. Okay, there was. Okay. I said, can I speak to you? And this woman came out and her partner, young David. I knew David from a long time. She said, yeah. She said, I was with the military, an offset of the SAS in the commandos. And I said, oh my God. I said, well, my oldest brother, Polly Farmer, his real name Michael. I know Polly because she was a continuous of the SAS, because all the SAS, they know each other, you know, whether they did fight or whatever, you know. And I said, look, I want to do something for you today. I said, I haven't got any money, haven't got anything, but I said, I want to take you up to the RSL to introduce you to the president, the vice president, and make you feel at home. She said, oh, that'd be lovely. So I jumped in my car, turned around, her and her boyfriend up there. They had a couple of beers. I don't drink. I have a can of Coke. And I said, introduced her, of course, and she was over the moon. She was ecstatic that she was welcomed into the RSL because she's a veteran, you know? And I said, I'll get out here. You want to come and see what we made out here? So I walked outside and I said, there he is there. And she walked up and she said, I'm not forgotten after all. I said, no, you're not forgotten. I said, this statue is for the homeless veteran statue. It's for people like yourself. And tears start coming down her eyes. Then went back inside. They had another mouthful of beer and I said, look, I've got to go. They said, oh, we'll walk back to the camp. And I said, no, I'll drive you back to the camp. So they jumped in the car there and she was just ecstatic. And then she went back up there that afternoon and had dinner, signed the papers to become a membership on that, to feel welcome. She could go and have a hot shower and whatever she could do and all that type of jazz. So that fitted in that little tiny little half an hour was just made her feel like that she was home. And this is what it's all about. It's all about making that person feel good, even if it's just for a short time.
That's it.
Because people can remember.
Yeah.
And they remember that little bit, knowing that they can go back again. If they do the right thing, they can go back and come back. So then I told her, I said, with what I'm doing now with my partners from the Safer Life Foundation and the Owen Farmer Foundation, I said, we're making suits for people like yourself that can sleep in them, that you become safe, you can have them in your car, you can zip them up, you can have all your phones and stuff underneath you, and instead of having the big trolley full of clothes and swags and blankets and everything like that, when the police move you on, well then you get upset because all your stuff, that's your house, and you've got to move it on. I said, the suit that we've created is that you can wear over the top of your clothes, and if you get moved on, you haven't got all that waste. That's hanging around you, so it makes it easier, and it de-escalates the person on the streets that has to be moved on, you know. And oh, good. So I showed her, you know, and she was very, very happy about that. And all the other guys are going, oh, well, this is pretty cool, oh. How much is it? And I said, oh, well, it's about $127 per suit. They said, oh, but I said, you don't pay for them. I said, what I'd like that people, we've got a GoFundMe page. I'd like people to say, look, what can we do for the homeless people or the people that are sleeping rough? Well, you can buy one of these suits and then you can donate it to a person that's sleeping rough, you know, or you can put the equivalent of 4 of you to get together, put in $30 each, and there's a suit for one person. That's what you can do. You can go on our GoFundMe page and you can add to that. For every $100 we get, we buy one suit and we can get it out to people and things like that. So out of all that, it's very good. We're getting nothing out of it. We're doing this all solely on love. You know, we've put all our finances together now, before, still, and I still keep battling on, Nick, to see what else we can do to try and alleviate the pain and suffering that comes, so that the suit, if I can save one person from getting hurt, bashed, raped, whatever, then I've done my job.
That's it, isn't it, really?
That's it. That's all in a nutshell. So with the homeless veteran statue, acknowledges the veterans that are doing it tough. Jen Reinhardt donated $200 million to the homeless veterans of Australia, which is really, really good. And, you know, so then it just gives us all a little bit of a goodness that comes back in it, because that's all people want, something nice, you know. That's all they want. You know, they're down on their luck, poor things. Some of them choose to be where they are.
Well, that's, yes.
They choose. But I said this, and I think it was the last program I was with you guys, that, you know, they're going, oh, this person's got a Winnebago, blah, 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 blah. I said, yeah, these are the smart people. Not to say that they all aren't smart, they are, but they put their money together, pulled their superannuation, and it's cheaper to go and buy a truck or a car or a van or a Winnebago on hire purchase than it is to get into a home.
Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's $350 a month on a Winnebago of 100 grand, say, or a bus worth 13,000. You know, it's cheaper than paying $700, $800 a week rent.
So with Memorial Drive, it's been in the news and everything. Do you know what sort of number of people would be there, Owen?
Yeah. There's around about 45 to 52.
Jeez.
You know, and it's increasing. But I went on Channel 7 the other week because, you know, once again, politicians use people as human shields. They use them as guinea pigs. They use them as, my Labor Party's better than your Liberal Party, and blah, 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 blah. But what they did when they came down and they did the filming of the people doing it rough, then they brought danger to them. They didn't bring goodwill. They brought danger to them because they exposed them. You know, so they exposed them. That's when all the trouble started to happen at night time, when people were coming through, abusing them and belting their dogs and belting the people up and chucking fire bombs at them and all this type of jazz. They ain't human beings just sleeping, you know. And so I went there and said, you know, Channel 7, you've done wrong here. "Oh, what do you mean, Mr. Farmer?" I said, "Well, you've just exposed these poor devils." I said, "They don't come and knock on your front door, so why should you go and knock on their tent? That's their home. That's their castle." You know? "Oh, yeah, we can understand. Would you mind putting that on television?" I said, "You go ahead, put it on me." So that's how I explained the situation, what damage is caused by exposing people to of rough sleeping.
So, you know, and that's the, you know, it's like you say, it's the lack. There's nothing about the people. They're just used as fodder for whatever. When they say, "I will move them on," now, what does that? I mean, I know what it means, but what does it mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
what does move them on mean?
Where does move them on? Down the road?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, it's insanely stupid.
It is.
You know, and you've got to have a bit of a heart. You know, I had a meeting with the police last Friday to let them know that I'm operating again and all this type of jazz, and that safeguards me, safeguards my colleagues, and they know that Farmer's back out on the front line. And they said, "We will not come and intervene with those people anywhere unless there is a disturbance."
Okay.
I said, "Oh, thank you." So the disturbance could be disorderly conduct, being drunk,
Yeah.
and all that other stuff that goes with it. They'll come in and do that and sort that out. But otherwise, they'll just drive through, make their presence known. Okay, fine. You know, so that was really nice to hear, you know, the acting sergeant that I spoke to last Friday say that. Because that's cool. You know, that's nice. And that's how the law is supposed to go. If you've done something wrong, then you've got to be dealt with.
Yeah.
Okay, simple. But if you're not doing any harm, leave well enough alone.
Yeah.
You know? So, but out of all that, and hopefully that we get a little bit of a breakthrough, but exposing people to the elements is not very good.
No, I just, you know, you wouldn't treat an animal like that.
No. And if you've got a drug dealer, and somebody comes and buys their stuff off that dealer at that place, you can guarantee within 24 hours there's 50 people come through, because he's just been exposed from the first person who's brought his drugs from that dealer, right? So he'll go to his mates and say, "I'll go to that place, go to that place." Yeah, so then all of a sudden you've got 50 people going there doing the same thing. So by being exposed, it just brings everything to light. Why is everything so busy? Why is everything, all of a sudden there's got to be something there, okay? Yeah. And 9 times out of 10 there is. You know?
With the homelessness, if you had to put a percentage of drug and alcohol related homelessness out of the homelessness, what sort of percentage would you say? Would you have an idea?
I'd say it's 3.5%.
Oh, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Everybody thinks that they're living rough, that they're all there. But no, they're not. You know, there's people there from 8 years of age to 80 years of age, right? So from the 8s shouldn't be there anyway, they're children, but through circumstances, through domestic violence, through all this stuff, the mother or the father hasn't got a choice.
Jeez.
The safest thing for them is to take off. And, you know, for the people that are 80 years of age, which I know of, won't go into a nursing home, but the next stop is the cemetery. You know, that's the only 2 places where people of that age, 50, 60, 70, 80, you know. So we need things done, not yesterday.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, and this is how it's come, Nick. But the whole point of me being here today is like I said, it's a privilege here. Talking to you is always good. You always get the best out of me somehow, you know. And you know, IPL Radio, I've got to give them a huge boost.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we do.
They do a really good job, and I'm just lucky to get hold of a couple of good announcers that can understand is to be understood.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Owen. I always like you popping in because you bring it back to you bring it back to reality. You know, we see it on the TV news, etc., and to me that's not reality. But you're out there on the coalface. You can bring us reality. So, as sad, which is quite ironic, as sad as it is, and it is, I think we need to hear these things.
Absolutely. And it's a new age homeless now. It's not like the old hobo around the corner with a bottle plonking him.
No.
You know, it's new age people where they've got cars, they've got caravans, they've got a value with them, and they're not all druggies and down and outs and whatever, you know. And they've got to look at this in this new age. Of course, there's people want to go out there that want to live there by choice, but there's a lot there that are slipping through the cracks.
All right, Owen, thanks for coming in, and hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon.